And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage our 10 candidates here tonight running for the South Dakota State House of Representatives. So if those 10 will make their way up, and let's give them a round of applause as they do.
Thank you.
As they make their way to the stage tonight, we begin with District 30, and we have tonight, currently, there are 3 individuals here tonight running for 2 House seats in District 30. We will hear first tonight from Republican Representative Lance Russell. So Lance, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. I'm a 4th generation Russell from Fall River County, and during my 6 years in the legislature, I have earned an A from the South Dakota Right to Life. I have the endorsement last go around from the Life and Liberty group. And every time I have ever voted on anything that has to do with Dale's organization, this organization, I can't think of one time that I voted in a manner that was inconsistent with what Dale had asked me to do. Whether it be gambling, abortion, it just doesn't matter. We're on the same page down in Pierre. And unfortunately, there aren't enough of us. And so hopefully, you can sift through all of the rhetoric that you get tonight and figure out who those individuals are that actually will go down to Pierre and not only say the right things, but do the right things.
Thank you, Lance. Lance, your first question tonight, what is the basis of your moral compass, and how will that influence what you decide is best for your constituents and the citizens of South Dakota?
The person that had the greatest impact on my life was my grandmother. She lived 2 doors down from where I lived, and my father was an attorney, and my grandfather was a judge, so they were both busy after school. And my mother also worked, and so when it was raining or when I needed someone to talk to, who I went to see was my grandmother. And probably the most important aspect of that on my life was when I would go see her, she would read to me stories, biblical stories, in those children's books. But in addition, she gave me a grounding. She was an English teacher, so she was always wanting to teach. And she taught me English history and also American history. And those were the most important lessons of my life. And she was a devout, born-again Christian. She went to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, and I learned a lot from her, and she was very helpful to me. And like Phil Jensen, I rarely have a quandary as to how I'm going to vote down in Pierre.
Thank you, Lance. Your first question tonight, or your second question, would you support adding sexual orientation to the list of characteristics, race, age, color, etc., that prohibit state government agencies from discriminating against in their employment services practices?
No, and this is a very dangerous and slippery slope that we're on. The U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled on this matter within the last 6 months. And essentially what the court said was the definition of marriage, they actually sided with New York, who had, the state legislature had actually decided that they were going to give this kind of protection. And the U.S. Supreme Court said that the definition of marriage and these matters has always been left to the states. And therefore, the state government, and this is a very important issue, and the reason is because in South Dakota we have always believed in traditional marriage, but there have been assaults on it in recent years. A bill was brought by Deb Peters to put this into our code a few years ago. And it is very dangerous for a number of reasons. But also, this last year, we dealt with a bill that now defines a domestic relationship very broadly, no longer in the traditional sense. And it passed both houses of the legislature by overwhelming margins. And so each of you should probably go and look at how that vote came down, because we now define a domestic relationship very broadly. And I think it was an attack on traditional family values. So thank you.
Thank you. Join me in thanking